this was another fun interview with Stephen Kiger.
Yeah, it definitely was. I think the nice thing about this too, it was really lighthearted, and he just gave us a really good overview of what his life as an entrepreneur has been like so far. So it's going to be a really, I think, nice listen. Not anything that you need to really dive in deep and get in there and like really actively listen to, but just kind of breeze along, hear a story. It's super interesting, and he has some really great nuggets that he left us with.
Let's grab that.
I know, as I was going through, I'm like, it sounds like he had nothing nice to say.
Dave, take two. Okay. So this was a really cool interview with Stephen Kiger, and I think what I found really interesting is just that he started his entrepreneurial journey at 18, and kind of talks a little bit about the difference between starting young versus maybe taking on that risk at a later in life.
Yeah, definitely, and I like that he shared kind of those early stories too, because it really resonated with a lot of the points that he made throughout the podcast, like getting uncomfortable, getting yourself out there, really working to build bridges, even if it pushes you past your comfort zone. So yeah, I think all of it really flowed well and connected with, I guess, the fundamentals and like the core values that he's built his entrepreneurial journey off of.
Yeah, and I think just for listeners, one thing to kind of take note of here is since he did start at 18, he's gone through a series of different businesses, and I think that's just one thing to keep in mind, is that you don't ever have to be locked into, just because you start out your entrepreneurial journey in one particular business. It's really about constantly reinventing yourself, reevaluating what's working, what's not, and looking for other opportunities, and then not being afraid to take different risk even after you've started your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, exactly. I think you all will like this one a great deal because we had a lot of fun doing it. So enjoy.
Welcome to the Success Lab podcast, where we explore the varied paths to success and the connections along the way that profoundly impact them.
Today we're joined in the lab by Stephen Kiger. He is a partner and CPO at Rocket Source, a company that specializes in digitally transforming the customer experience for their clients and ultimately enabling strategic growth. But he's also the co-founder of Platstack, which is a really cool platform that allows you to save and organize and share topics that you really care about as you're out there on the web perusing. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, and I'm excited to have a chat with you guys.
Yeah, we are too. So you've had quite a storied career in entrepreneurship. What was your first venture and how did you start it?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and I really have two kind of different, unique stories. So my very first real entrepreneurial-minded, venture was back in high school, and it's a pretty funny story. Back in high school, me and my buddy were, during the summer when you have all summer off, we're trying to figure out what to do and how to make money. So we came up with this idea of knocking door to door and spray painting house numbers on curbs of people's homes. And so we would knock door to door, and the funny thing about it was, we would really kind of really strategize on how many doors we need to knock to at least afford the night out. So whether we're going to a movie or going out to dinner, we might only need to knock a few doors to make $10 and call it good. So sometimes we worked for 5 minutes, sometimes we worked for a few hours, but it was a fun and interesting time where, we just knocked door to door and spray painted numbers on homes, and we did really well. It was actually a really fun summer and made enough money to pay for a couple things on my car, and it was a good time. But my first real entrepreneurial minded moment was, my background's in design, so I've been a graphic designer for about 20 years. And all through college, I would do, logos and websites and stuff for friends and family. And my very first job out of college, I worked for a large Fortune 500 company in the dental space. And I noticed there was this huge demand for dental marketing, and there wasn't a lot of companies doing it, very niche down, like, hey, here's a logo and a website for a dentist. And so I decided to actually quit my job, full-time job, and start a dental marketing company. I had never worked with a dentist. And what I did is I spent a couple of weeks just building out fake logos and fake brochures and fake websites and just, mocking it all up. And I created my first LLC and quit my job. And I was like, well, let's see what happens. And so it was a fun, interesting journey of not knowing any dentist and not really having any connections into that world. But I just knew there was a kind of an interesting niche there. And I grew it to pretty good amount of money, and ultimately kind of shifted away from that. But it was a really fun couple of years, really learning that industry and niching down and finding some value in there.
Dental marketing, who would have thought? I mean, I guess you did, but that's really interesting. So I guess, what were your first days like when you do start your multiple ventures, which you have? What are those early days like? Were you a little bit scared? Were you thinking, I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm just going to go for it? What was your attitude?
Yeah, obviously, I think it's going to totally depend on where you're at in your life. I mean, where if I was to do it now, it would be completely different. Where I have 2 kids and a wife. I was 24 years old. I was single. I had no dependents, and so I just had to make sure I paid my rent every month. So it was exciting. It was fun. It wasn't a huge amount of stress because I knew there wasn't a lot of risk in doing it, knowing I could always get another job if I wanted to. So I definitely think it depends. I mean, I have mad respect for anyone that has a family and decides to go out and start something without having any revenue come in. I was lucky enough to do it at an early age where that it wasn't a huge deal. But yeah, it's exciting. It's fun. It's nervous. It's getting uncomfortable, I think, is a big part of it. Like I said, I didn't know any dentist. And so I just kind of had to find dental forums out there and start marketing myself. And I was lucky enough to find some good dentists who absolutely loved what I did for them. And they started to kind of market it for me. And so I would say the biggest thing is just getting uncomfortable and doing something you've never done before. That's how you grow, really.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, to your point, it is, for most, it is a lot easier to do when you're younger and don't have as many dependents or kind of risks, I guess.
Absolutely.
So in those early days, what were some of your biggest challenges that you encountered as you grew the business?
So I stayed really lean. It was myself for a long, long time. So I was lucky not to have a, huge bloated payroll where I didn't make payroll every month. So, and I did that on purpose. For me, the hardest thing was really hiring that first person to start to scale. As you build your own business, you obviously have your processes and things you want to do. And it's really hard to hire that first person. And it took me many, many years to get the courage to doing that, knowing that I now have someone else depending on me. And so I would say that was probably the hardest thing. I'm glad I did. It was actually one of the best decisions I made. And funny story, he's actually still with me. He's moved with me with now 4 companies, and he's an amazing designer and was able to kind of help, guide him along the ways. And in a lot of respects, he's a lot better than I am now. So that's a huge challenge for most entrepreneurs is getting to the point of, making that first hire. I'd say do it, because for me, it was amazing. It opened up a lot of time for me to do other things. And so I'm glad I did. It just took me a long time to get there.
That's incredible that he's still with you to this day.
Yes. Yeah. It's almost been 10 years now.
Holy cow. You must be doing something right.
Yeah. So yeah, he started with me right when he actually started the month I got back from my honeymoon.
Oh my
gosh. He's an awesome dude and he's still with me. So doing something right, I guess.
Cool. Well, not to rain on this parade, but we're going to shift focus a little bit, and we want you to share with us what was one of your darkest moments when you were growing your first business, and how did you pull yourself out of it?
Yeah, I mean, with any business, losing big clients is stressful. I would say that's a big part of businesses. Don't rely on one business that's generating too much of your revenue. But I would say the biggest thing for me is just the failures. I mean, I've had some good success, but I've had way more failures. I've tried to start apps. I started an app geez, 6-7 years ago, kind of in the self-moving space. So it was a company called Mover, and it was, hey, if you don't have a truck and you needed to move a couch, hey, we have someone that has a truck and they can do it for you. So it was kind of like an Uber of, renting a truck, but not actually having to rent the truck, just having someone drive it for you. And we spent a lot of money on it. We built it out. We felt like it was something that would be really useful. And unfortunately, we never found product market fit in Utah. And I think part of the reason, and this goes back to just really understanding your market, Utah's a really interesting demographic where really everyone has a truck here. And everyone knows someone that has a truck. So it was hard to find people that didn't just have a personal connection with a truck, versus like if you were to start this in, let's say, Chicago or LA or New York, where people just don't even have cars. I think it would have done a better job. So, any sort of failure like that, where you spend, years of your time and energy and excitement and money specifically, and you just don't find that product market fit and you have to shut it down, it hurts, right? It hurts a lot. And so with all those failures, and I have many, many more I could go through, but with all those failures, you have to just take it with what you've learned from that. And I've learned a lot from those, and, push forward onto the next one.
Yeah, that's, you hit the nail on the head, just that resiliency. And failures, I think, they teach us valuable things, and just better prepares you for your next venture. Yeah,
absolutely.
For the record, I would have used that truck service. So
I know. See, people say that. They're like, it's a really cool idea. It was not the right market here in Utah. I think there actually are some that have popped up since then. I think there's one called Dolly, and there's another one, and I don't remember the name of it. And they started in good cities, right? They started in Seattle, larger cities. And there are times even now I'm like, dang, I don't have a truck. I wish I had that service. Just wasn't the right time and the right market, unfortunately, for it.
Yeah. I know it does sound like a really great concept, though. But I guess speaking of new ventures and some of these trials and tribulations preparing you for that, fast forward to 2016, what led you to Rocket Source and ultimately, to sell your other marketing company?
Yeah. So good question. So, I had run my own agency, my creative studio for about 10 years. And, with any sort of service-based company, you have this roller coaster, right? You got to get a client, you lose a client, get a client, lose a client. And it's fun. And it's really interesting to work in different industries. I got to the point where I was like, I really want to build my own cool products. And, how can I do that? And so I was lucky enough to get connected with who's now my co-founder, who's also just an amazing person, super, super smart guy. Named Buckley, and he's a consultant. He's a growth strategist, and he approached me and said, "Hey, let's join forces. I have the strategy and the growth, and I've launched and sold many businesses, and you have the creative side." And so we joined forces, and then I brought in the third partner who I had worked with in the past. He ran his own digital technology coding shop. He had about 15 employees doing dev work, and so we needed that dev partner as well. So we joined forces, a dev, a creative, and then a growth guy to join Rocket Source. And with the real ultimate goal of joining Rocket Source or creating Rocket Source was to fund the ability to do what's called Rocket Source Labs. And so that's where our products have come out of. So we've been lucky enough to do well enough where we could take some of the money, some of the profit, and build really cool products. And so we've launched now one product that's in the marketplace. The second one, which we're going to talk about today, which is called Platstack, which we're super excited about. Totally self-funded. We have all our own internal resources building that out. And it's, that's where our passion lies, is as much fun it is helping other companies grow. It's way more fun doing your own thing. So really the ultimate goal with Rocket Source is create a service-based company that can generate some good revenue and ultimately build a really cool product that hopefully we can get off the treadmill and kind of grow it from there.
Yeah, definitely. So was it I guess what kind of went through your head as you were debating on whether or not to sell your company? Yeah. It was kind of, you get really attached to, especially to your first company. It's like your baby.
Yeah. The hardest thing for me is, like I said, I was always really lean and green. Just me and my designer. It was just two of us always. And we made really good money, and we had a lot of fun. And I knew going into this company, we would have, 20 employees, and my payroll would get bloated. And that's scary, obviously, when you have more people and more dependents that you have to, that rely on you. So that was probably the hardest thing for me, knowing that I was going to take a significant pay cut and also have a lot more people that are going to depend on me. But I mean, I'm super excited and glad we've done that. And we've been very successful in the service-based company, and we're really excited about these products. So I would say that, that was a tough decision. I had a lot of conversations with my wife, and obviously as you cut your income, it's obviously something that you have to have a discussion with the other people and make sure that it's the right decision to do. But I'm glad I did. And luckily my wife has been super supportive of that.
That's always a big help when the people in your life are supportive of the decision too. And it's obviously led to some exciting new ventures. And as you kind of alluded to earlier, through the is Rocket Labs
Rocket Labs,
you've developed some of these other new spin out products, and one being Platstack. So how did that come to be?
Yeah. So with Rocket Source, we're always looking, what are products or services that we can build that we really need to use ourselves, right? What are things that we know that are needed in the marketplace? And one thing that we always were griping with, and you can go onto Twitter and see this all the time, is everyone has what we call tab overload. You go into your Chrome browser and you have 50 tabs open at any given point. And we're like, this is a problem. There's a problem with organization, digital organization. There's so much content out there. Said, there's got to be a better solution to being able to digitally organize your life better than just your, Google Chrome bookmarks. And so that's kind of the start of the evolution of how Platstack came to be, is this idea of you have, let's say 20 tabs open, you click one button and it saves all those tabs into what we call stacks. And so now you have all those 20 links into a stack. Now what's awesome about it is you can close that browser out, and tomorrow if you need to open it up, you open up all those links and they're right there for you. And then even better than that, what we've thought of is how do you organize inside a stack as well? So not only just having all those links inside one folder, you can actually create folders inside that folder. So for example, I might have a stack for a client of ours. I have all my Google Docs, Google Drive, Google, Slides, Google Sheets in one section. Then I have maybe all their website competitors in another section, and then maybe the website logins in another section. So really, what's cool about it is you can click one button, and it opens up all those tabs, and they're there, and then you can always close out of them and open them back up when you need to.
That's pretty cool. I'm looking at Beth's computer right now, and it looks like she could use Platstack.
Yeah, see, everyone there is like, "Oh man, I got a lot of tabs." Yeah, exactly.
I am guilty of the same thing, and then I'll have multiple windows open, and then it becomes a mess, and before you know it, well, thank you for sharing that. So, what would you say has been one of the most important lessons you've learned along your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, good question. This is my mantra, and I've always told anyone that's ever asked me something similar in this question is, you never, ever burn a bridge. I've had really crappy clients, in the 20 years I've been doing this, and I always suck it up and do the job, make sure they're happy. You'll never find, anyone wants to look up my name, they're never going to find anything negative about me, even though I've been doing this for 20 years. And that's why I want people to think of me and think of, I got the job done. And interestingly, some of my best clients have come as referrals from some of my worst clients. And so as crappy as some clients can be, get the job done, suck it up. You might lose some money, take the learning lesson that came with it, and move on to the next one, because you never know, that person might have really good things to say about you, even though you might not have good things to say about them. And it served me very, very well. I've had amazing clients and amazing referrals from that kind of belief.
That's awesome. So in the spirit of building bridges, one thing that we talk a lot about on this podcast is the idea of impactful connections and how they can really transform the trajectory of your career or your path in some way. Are there one or two along your journey that have just really made a big impact for you?
Yeah, I would definitely say my partner in crime, Buckley Barlow, he's a genius in a lot of ways. And he's been able to mentor me, over the last 6-7 years to become someone who I wasn't before, and challenge me and challenge my thoughts. So I'd say someone, surround yourself with people that are way smarter than you. And I've been lucky to have two partners that have been able to challenge me and help me grow. And so I would say definitely from a mentorship perspective, anyone that has been there, has scraped their knees and elbows, has, unfortunately lost a lot of money. If you find someone that's lost a lot of money, they're going to know what they did and, what they can do to correct that. And so what I've always found is, entrepreneur in general, if you can find someone that's done it before, who's, had some great success, but also had some great failures. I find those people are so knowledgeable, especially in the entrepreneurial mind, and journey. Surround yourself with people like that and you'll learn a lot for sure.
What a cool name, Buckley Barlow.
Buckley Barlow. He's a great guy.
That is cool. And that's really interesting to your point on find somebody who has experienced both great success and great failures. Just to everything that you said, I've never really heard it put that way. But that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. So what is one of the best ways that you make these impactful connections to grow yourself and your business?
Yeah, just we're lucky in Utah to have a huge budding entrepreneurial scene here. There's a lot of really great meetups. There's someone coined it's called the Silicon Slopes. So they have, monthly meetups with, some of the largest companies in Utah where people come out and they do presentations. You get free lunch. I mean, it's amazing what now is available versus when I started this 20 years ago. And I'm sure it's the same in every city. So I would say challenge yourself, go find entrepreneurial clubs, go look on Meetup, find those lunches. People are starting them. I think there's great Slack groups now, like local Slack groups that you can join. And get yourself out there, get super uncomfortable, find someone that you've never met and sit next to them and introduce yourself and just really offer your services. Offer, is there something I can do to help you? And, that's always served me well is meet people, get uncomfortable, go to places that you've never been and you'll meet some amazing people on the way. And ultimately, most people want to help each other. And some of the best ways to do that is just get out there.
Yeah, definitely. So outside of building impactful connections, what's one piece of advice that you would pass along to a fellow entrepreneur?
Oh man, be resilient. Don't give up. Stuff's going to happen. You're going to have some really crappy things that happen to you. But if you don't give up and you keep pushing forward, and like I said, I've always just get uncomfortable, do things you've never done before, go offer, to go do a presentation in front of people. If that really is scary to you, just keep trying, keep going. It's something will happen eventually. And it might take a year, it might take 5 years. But I would say you got to try it, try something, especially when you're young. Like I said, it's so much easier to be an entrepreneur when you're in college or even right out of college, before you have kids or have independence and have to worry about that. So for all the young guests out there, just go try it. You're gonna make a fool of yourself. I mean, if I showed you guys some of the first designs I ever did back when I was 18, they're embarrassing, but that's how you grow.
It's so funny you said that. I just immediately thought of my old diaries, and sometimes I reread them and I just think, oh my God, it's incredible that I've turned out to be a somewhat decent writer.
Exactly. But you got to start, right? You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, that's very true. And great advice. All right. So we are going to kick off our speed round. Are you ready?
I guess so. Yeah, go for it.
All righty. Okay. First question. What is one business tool you're geeking out over right now?
Ooh, one business tool I'm geeking out. That is a good question. We use Slack obviously a lot here. It's awesome. Other than that, man, good one on me. I don't know. Obviously I don't want to Platstack out there, but it is pretty awesome. And we are definitely geeking out to Platstack.
Cool. I like that. Kind of along the same vein here. What is your favorite piece of technology?
anything mobile, right? Anything that can save time through a mobile device. So in any sort of integration into mobile, or, I think again, Slack is a great example where I can be on the go and being able to communicate with other people. Any sort of, I would say anything that's mobile, that's easy to use. I'm a huge Reddit guy. I love Reddit. It's a great time burner for me.
Yeah, I just got turned on to Reddit myself, and I'm kind of regretting it.
Takes a while to get used to it, but once you do, it's amazing. The comments are the best.
Yeah, definitely. What's one book you'd pass along to a fellow entrepreneur?
Don't Make Me Think is a really good book especially for designers, UI, UX.
Cool. And then one person you'd like to make a connection with?
Ooh, one person I'd like to make a connection with. Barack Obama. Love to have dinner with him or lunch.
Cool. Yeah. Do you have a favorite icebreaker when you're introducing yourself to someone, either online or in person?
Normally I'd like to talk something about travel. I'm a huge traveler. I've traveled to many, many countries. So anything along the lines of, finding out where they've been, what they've done. I just got back from Switzerland and skied the Alps a couple weeks ago. So anything along those lines, I think, is a really good icebreaker to get people talking.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, that is it's kind of a instant. I think it tears down any sort of barriers, and if someone has traveled to a similar place, it's an instant connection.
For sure.
What is a favorite way that you rejuvenate or refresh?
Snowboard. I'm a huge snowboarder. So getting outdoors, turning off the devices, putting your phones away. I would say snowboarding definitely in the winter and golf in the summer.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, you're in a great climate for that. Both
Definitely.
Of those two things.
There have been times, which is really cool, is you can actually, I've done this before. I've skied in the morning. I've gone wakeboarding in the afternoon and then golfed at night. There are times in Utah that you can do all three of those things.
That's pretty amazing.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. How many hours of sleep do you get each night on average?
I get 8. I am a big sleeper. I go to bed at 10 o'clock and if I work out, I wake about 5:30, but otherwise, 8 hours every night for sure.
That's awesome. Very good.
Sleep is important to me.
Yeah, it really is. And last question, how can people connect with you or Rocket Source or Platstack?
Yeah. So we'd love to have anyone try Platstack. You can just go to platstack.com. It's open beta. We haven't fully launched yet, so there might be some bugs, but we're looking for people to try it out and give us some feedback. So definitely check out platstack.com. You can follow me or, connect with me on LinkedIn. Steven Kiger, Kiger is probably the best way. If you want to learn about our digital transformation services, rocketsource.com is our website.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the Success Lab today. And we'll put a link definitely to Platstack. Sounds like such a cool tool.
Yeah, I wanted to add one more thing, and I forgot to do this before we close on Platstack. The other really cool thing about Platstack, and we're super excited about it, is what we call Stack It Forward. Meaning, you guys, you, Beth and Bree, you guys have so much skill in your PR world, and I have, 20 years of experience in my UI UX world. What we're really excited about is being able to create stacks that you can share with the world. Meaning, hey, I'm new in PR. Beth, what can I do to get started? And have you create, here's 5 videos to watch. Here's a couple websites to look at. Here's a couple podcasts to listen to. And what's cool about Platstack is you can curate all this knowledge and share it with people that are interested in your subject matter. And so we're really excited about this idea of curating the knowledge that you have internally, what books to read, what videos to watch, whatever it is, and being able to share that with one link for people that want to skill up. So definitely, we're excited to see how that works, and hopefully you guys can create stacks about PR or even podcasting. Someone wants to get into podcasting. What's the best audio equipment to buy? What's the best software to use? Sharing that knowledge with the world is a really cool and exciting thing.
That's very cool. Yeah, so many different use cases you can think of just for that. It's whether you're helping to onboard a new employee or train somebody, or even reach out to a prospect and you've got some content you want to share with them. That's very cool.
So I wanted to throw that out before it goes, but definitely looking for people to come beta test it and give us some feedback.
Cool. Also, you should think of trademarking the phrase "stack it to me" before it gets too late.
Stack it to me. I like it. Nice. Noted for sure.
You can give Bree some of the credit from that.
All right. Sounds good. I'll remember that. We got it on audio. So
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today.
yeah, Priya and Beth, I appreciate your time, and thank you for giving me a chance to come talk to your audience, and looking forward to connecting with anyone else that has any other questions.
You're welcome.